So we are discussing chapter 2 of the first canto. In the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw that the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunak Rishi, they are posing 6 fundamental questions to Suta Goswami because they know Suta Goswami has learned from the right sources, he has understood them, and he is qualified to also share that knowledge with them. So, for the welfare of us, ultimately, for the welfare of humanity for all time to come, Shaunakadi Rishi, they posed these 6 beautiful questions to Suta Goswami. And the answers to these 6 questions, along with related matters, that is what constitutes Srimad Bhagavatam. So, chapter 1 is mapping the entire project of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will see that the questions that were asked will be answered in chapter 2 and 3. And then in chapter 4, uh, the sages will ask another 4 questions, the answers to which will span across the rest of the chapters of first canto. So the first 6 questions, we will find answers to them in chapters 2 and 3. And then also they'll keep building on that concept throughout the rest of the text. So let us understand what is Suta Goswami saying. We begin with chapter 2, verse 1. Vyasa uvacha iti samprashna samhrishto vipranam maharshanihi pratipujya vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. So Sri Vasudev said, Ugra Shrava, or Suta Goswami, who is the son of Romaharshan, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. So Suta Goswami was very pleased, delighted at the questions of the rishis. Yeah. Some Rishto. That indicates Suta Goswami was very happy. They are asking very good questions. So we will see in the second chapter, what is covered is what is the Vishay of the text, which is Sri Krishna. What is the process? Process recommended by Srimad Bhagavatam is bhakti. That is the abhideya. And what is the prayojan or the goal that we attain of the process? So because, so many scriptures present so many different processes, different shastras have different sadhanas. And the sages asked Suta Goswami that, it's very difficult for us to ascertain. So we request you to present us the sar, essence. So when any author presents a text, they define 4 things. Who is the adhikari? Who is eligible to understand this text? So in this case, who is the adhikari for Srimad Bhagavatam? What did we see from the previous chapter? Who is Srimad Bhagavatam meant for, or whom is Vyasdev inviting? Yes? It is for the Rasikas. Aho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. It is for those who have a relish for Krishna Leela. So are we Rasikas? No, we are in fact conditioned. Is Bhagavatam still relevant to us? Are we an adhikari for Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes. We will see in verses ahead that even for the conditioned souls, those with bhava rog, we study in Upadeshamrit, that material condition is like a disease, and by taking the same sugar candy, which is tasting bitter, Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, Krishna Charitadi, They taste bitter in the beginning because of our Bhavaroga. But that is the remedy. We keep taking it and slowly we will develop a relish. We'll start to taste the sweetness of the Namarup Guna Leela of Krishna. So, Adhikaris are both those who are Rasikas and also those who are conditioned. It will purify us of our conditioning, and to the Rasikas, they'll just relish. So, Suta Goswami, when asked the question that please share something that will satisfy the self, that is deep, that will deeply satisfy our heart. So he said he began thinking, what should I share? Yeah, should I share the Vedanta Sutra? But the composer of Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva himself was despondent after authoring it. So how can the audience be deeply satisfied? So I think that's not appropriate. Only one thing comes to mind, that literature which was narrated by Shukdev Goswami, by which Parikshit Maharaj's heart became fully pleased. I think that is what I should share because Shukdev Goswami, as we will see, he was already a liberated soul. Here you know the story. He did not want to come out of his mother's womb. So he stayed there for 16 years, only on the assurance of Lord Krishna that don't worry, Maya will not touch you. Then he came out, and what did he do? As soon as he takes birth, he heads straight to the forest, and we'll see that. So he was already a Brahmanishta, having full conviction and spiritual realization. He was a Brahmavadi, liberated, already at a liberated stage. So Suta Goswami felt, yes, that literature spoken by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, that will deeply satisfy the self of all the sages and for all humanity in the future. So let me share that. So the adhikar is for all of us and also for the rasikas. Then what is the Vishay that is introduced by the author? So the Vishay of Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Yeah, and then the Abhideya, what is the method, the process, the practice, and finally the benefit. What will you achieve if you practice that method? So the outcome or the benefit is called Prayojan. So chapter 2 is going to present all of this. It is going to present the Vishaya, Sri Krishna, the method, Avideya, and the benefit, Prayojan. So let us see in these beautiful verses what is being spoken by Suta Goswami. The next verse, verse 2. Suta Uvacha Yan Pravrajantam Anupetamapeta Dvaipayano Viraha Kataraju Hava Putreti Tanmaya Tayataravo Bhinedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Muni Ananatosmi. So very beautiful. Before even beginning to speak, Srila Suta Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. Yeah. Sarva Bhuta Hridayam. Shukdev Goswami, we will see why is Suta Goswami calling him as one who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasdev, feeling separation from him, cried out, O my son, Tata, Tata, Putra, Putra iti. So Vyasdev was calling out Putra iti. And what was the response? Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the begrieved father. So here, first of all, we are seeing that Vyasdev, who was the father of Shukdev Goswami, he had so much affection for Shukdev Goswami that when he left, his father ran behind him, calling out to him, yeah, Putreti, Putreti. Because he had not undergone any reformation, any training. He just walked out as soon as he was born. So it is not the fault of Vyasdev to have such an attachment for his son, because his son was not any ordinary son. His son was a self-realized soul. And it is the nature of self-realized souls. It is said that those who have deep love for the Lord, he who worships the Lord, become attractive to all living entities. This is a lakshana. This is a lakshana for one who has deep devotion in their hearts. They become loving or dear to everyone. So here, Suta Goswami is, referencing that pastime. That amongst all the sages, we are seeing that Krishna, Dvaipayan, Vyasdev, who knows all the philosophies, who wrote the Vedanta Sutra, whose vision is based on clarity of mind. Yeah. Should I speak that scripture? But like we discussed, he felt that is not what will Hiyanatma suprased, that it will not satisfy the soul or the heart. So let me speak that scripture which remains steady without any objections from any other sages. And it gave pleasure to all the sages after withstanding the tests of the great luminaries. So in that audience, when Shukdev Goswami was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, the subject matter, it withstood the test of all the great luminaries. There was Narad Muni there. So everyone who was assembled in that gathering around Parikshit, everyone was deeply satisfied and there were no objections from anyone whatsoever in regard to the subject matter. So Suta Goswami ascertains in his mind, yes, that is what I will speak. So first I'll offer my surrender to Sri Shukdev Goswami, who is the speaker of Bhagavatam. Yeah. And then he is described as soon as he's born, he leaves for Vanam Pravajan Prajantam. Although Vyasdev chased behind him, he could not catch up to him. Yeah. Anupetya. So this is how, the scene begins. It's such a heart rendering scene. And Anupetyam without being reformed by the sacred thread. Apeta, not undergoing ceremony. So just, without any regard to any reformations or rituals, Shukdev Goswami just walked out. And Vyasdev is calling, Putra, Putra, Putreti. Can you visualize that? A luminary father, a self-realized son, and he was calling out. And as we discussed, Shukdev Goswami was such that he had entered into the hearts of all. So those who have devotion to the Lord, they become a natural object of affection for the whole world, it is said. And what was the response? Because Shukdev Goswami was at that level, even the trees were feeling separation from them. Think about it. The trees were lamenting. They were also attached to Shukdev Goswami. Yeah, the word used is tan mayataya. Huh. Being absorbed in that way, all the trees responded, Tata, Putreti, Putreti. So it is an echo, but it's presented in a way that the trees were also feeling separation from, uh, you know, the way Shukdev Goswami is walking out. So they were calling out in the form of echoes, O sun, O sun. So this is not to be seen as a fault. This is not a material illusion. That is the nature of self-realized souls, then they are attractive to all. So this, in fact, demonstrates the glory of the Lord, that anyone who loves him becomes attractive to everyone. Sarva Bhuta Hridayam. Just like, I mean, in today's times, people have different versions of their idols. So everyone is absorbed in some idol. So Shukdev Goswami was one who had entered into the hearts of all. Yeah. And what is the intention in saying this? If he can enter in everyone's heart, I pray to him to enter my heart and speak Srimad Bhagavatam through my mouth. This is the mood of Vedic Parampara. That Suta Goswami, as a disciple, is saying, please, you enter my consciousness and you speak through my mouth. You use me as an instrument, as a medium for propagation of your transcendental message. So this is also setting an example for all the speakers of Bhagavatam, that they should also meditate in this way, that let Shukdev Goswami enter my consciousness and speak that same pure message of Bhagavatam through my mouth. Let me become an instrument. So here Srila Prabhupada first mentions about Varnashram, that there are ordinarily somebody is supposed to undergo reformatory samskaras, which includes Vidyarambham, you begin study of Vedas, approach a bona fide guru, and then those who are qualified to study Vedas, they are given an Upanayam samskar, they're given a sacred thread from a spiritual master. So Shukdev Goswami did not undergo any such purificatory ceremonies because he was a liberated soul from his very birth. These are reformatory ceremonies for those who need reformation, but Shukdev Goswami is already pure. Ordinarily, we are, born as conditioned beings, and through this purificatory process, we attain, qualification, and that's when you are given a varna. When you get a diksha, that's your second birth. Dvija means born again or second born. That is the purificatory process recommended for society in general. And then one approaches a guru, and spiritual master accepts only a sincere inquirer and gives them a sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes twice born or a dvija. And then one can study the Vedas, and becoming well versed in the Vedas, one is called a Vipra. And thereby you realize the absolute truth, Brahman. And you make progress in spiritual life until you reach the Vaishnava stage. What is it implying? At realizing the absolute is the entry point. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan sambandhiyetan brahma bhuyaya kalpat. So we reach a position of purification, by all the varnashram reformatory activities that sets us into the path of becoming a devotee. So it is post liberation, even higher than liberation is devotion. That's the point. Mm. The Vaishnava stage is the postgraduate status of a Brahmana. Brahmana is following scriptures, Sattva Gun, but Vaishnava is even beyond the gunas. Vaishnava is at a transcendental level. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava is self-realized, learned Brahmana. So Shukdev Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning, and therefore there was no need for him to undergo any process of Varnashram. What is the ultimate aim of Varnashram? To transform someone who is uncivilized into a devotee of the Lord, surrendering to the Lord. So if somebody reaches that stage of surrendering and worshipping the Lord, that means they're already at a Vaishnava level. Yeah, they're already considered a Brahmana regardless of their birth due to past deeds. So there are two variables at play. One is karma, one is shraddha. Karma will give us a body which might disqualify us from Brahminical studies. But our faith, if it is pure, it might qualify us for a Vaishnava. So what is more important between the two? It is purity of faith. One can be a Vaishnava even if the body is disqualified. So in a spiritual circle, in Vaishnava circle, bodily disqualification is not considered. So Srila Prabhupada gives this beautiful example that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this principle and recognized Srila Haridas Thakur as an Acharya of the holy name, although he appeared in a Mohammedan family. So forget Varnashram, he was outside the entire system itself. So what is more important? That his Shraddha in the Naam was so pure that he is suitable for becoming the Acharya, the teacher of holy name for all Vaishnavas for all times to come. So this demonstrates that past karma is not a factor in determining surrender or faith. It is the association of devotees which gives us that pure faith. So Shukdev Goswami was born as a Vaishnava and therefore Brahmanism was included in him. Yeah. If you see Brahmanism, Brahman is a bodily designation. Those Varna duties are favorable for a certain point of time and then they become unfavorable. But it is only bhakti which is favorable at all times. Yeah. So Brahmanism is already included in Vaishnavism. So therefore, there was no need for Shukdev Goswami to undergo any purificatory ceremonies. Even if a person is low born, they can be delivered to the highest transcendental position by the mercy of Vaishnavas. So again, how does a person be called a low born? Because of past karma which lead to a certain body. But when we are saying karma is inconsequential in the path of bhakti, so then, there is no such discrimination. Srila Shukdev Goswami was the Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual master of Srila Suta Goswami, who therefore offers his respectful obeisances unto Srila Shukdev Goswami before he begins his answers to the questions of the sages at Naimisharanya. So this is the spirit, the mood of a disciple in Parampara. I start by offering respects and obeisances to my gurus. And in fact, here it is indicated that he's inviting Shukdev Goswami to speak through him. Okay? Then he's also offering his respects to Vyasdev in the next verse. Very beautiful verse. Yansvanubhavam akhila shrutisara ekam adhyatmadipam atitirshatam tamondham samsarinam karunayah purana guhyam tam vyasasunum upayami gurum muninam. So who is speaking here? Suta Goswami. This is the second conversation or repetition of Srimad Bhagavatam for the second time. The first time it was spoken by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, and in that audience, Suta Goswami was present. And now Bhagavatam is being narrated for a second time by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. So Suta Goswami is saying, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all the sages. He is Guru Nam, Guru Muni Nam. Of all the munis, he is the Guru. The son of Vyasadev, Vyasasunum, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest region of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. So beautifully, he is offering his surrender and prayers to Shukdev Goswami as the son of Vyasdev, who's presenting the essence of all scriptures. Yeah, what is Bhagavatam? Why is it the essence? Because it is revealing rasa. And those who are endeavoring to cross over this ocean of ignorance, tama, it is going to help them. It is going to help them see the truth. That is the prayer here. So, when Shukdev Goswami narrated Bhagavatam, it not only delivered Parikshit Maharaj, but it should deliver all persons born in the world in the future as well. All of us who hear that narration, we will also be delivered. So that is the contemplation Suta Goswami is having, that what he spoke was meant for the deliverance of all, especially those who are interested in crossing over samsara. Atitir Shatam. And what is this samsara made up of? Andham tamo, tamo andham. It is dense darkness of ignorance. So it, is depicting tamo andharam atitir shatam, one who wants to cross over this. And it will become very easy because Bhagavatam will lead to revelation. Deepam, Adhyatma Deepam, transcendental torchlight. What is that torchlight pointing to? To your Adhyatma. What is your nature as a Jiva? What are you essentially? So Bhagavatam reveals, it's like a torchlight which reveals your nature as a pure soul. Therefore, it makes it very easy to cross over the ocean of ignorance. Yeah, so all of us should be grateful to Shukdev Goswami who presented this Bhagavatam. So is destruction of ignorance the primary goal of Bhagavatam? No. As we saw, the primary goal is to Pibata Rasamalayam. Pibata Bhagavata Rasamalayam. The primary purpose of Bhagavatam is to relish rasa in relation to Krishna. Secondarily, it also destroys ignorance. Yeah, so we have to have that understanding clear. It is primarily for relishing by hearing. Yeah, sometimes we relish by tasting, but this is to be relished by hearing. And this is Anubhavam. So beautifully, this verse not only expresses gratitude and surrender to his Guru, it also brings out the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So this is, as we have seen in the third verse, Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of the tree of the Vedas. So Srimad Bhagavatam is giving us that experience of rasa. Okay. And we will see later in the 7th chapter that, he's meditating on Shukdev Goswami, because Shukdev Goswami, as we saw, was an already liberated person. Yeah. Still, the verse in chapter 7 comes where it talks of Shukdev Goswami as being Harer Gunakshata Matir. Although he is liberated, his mind is still attracted to Harer Guna. His mind also became attracted to the qualities of the Lord by studying Bhagavatam. And there's this beautiful verse in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which again presents Shukdev Goswami as a liberated person. Parinishthitopi nirgunya uttama shloka leelaya krihita cheta rajarshe akyanam yad adhitavan. So, Shukdev Goswami is himself telling Parikshit Maharaj that I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence. Parinishthito, perfectly situated in transcendence, Nairgunya. I had gone beyond the gunas. Yet I was still attracted by the narration of the Leelas of Krishna. Uttama Shloka Leelaya. So even those who are liberated, they are attracted to Krishna Leela. That is how sweet it is. Okay. So this is how Sutta Goswami is offering his pranams. In this prayer, Srila Sutta Goswami practically summarizes the complete introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural supplementary commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So Vyasadeva was presenting the essence of Vedic knowledge in Vedanta Sutra, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on this cream of the Vedas. And Shukdev Goswami was a thoroughly realized master of the Vedanta Sutra because he also personally realized it. That is the main attribute. It is not that just we are speaking from what we heard, he has also realized it. And out of mercy for humanity which is stuck in the samsara, he's sharing this, reciting this confidential knowledge for the first time. So Srila Prabhupada says there's no point in arguing that a materialist man can be happy. So Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, everyone from right from our smallest ant to the greatest Brahma, they can never be happy because they are in the material realm. Because even if they are able to hold on to some flickering happiness, its nature is that it is temporary. Yeah, and the laws of nature will, not allow you to hold on to it. It'll subject you to the miseries, Adi Atmik, Adi Devik, and Adi Bhautik. So therefore, the materialistic world is called Tamoandham, darkest region of God's creation. So remember, we discussed that we are in avidya, and therefore, we develop an ahankar. And due to that, we start identifying with the body mind, whereas we have nothing to do with the body mind as pure souls. So, unhappy materialists can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. So, to desire to get out, first you have to realize that it's a imprisonment, it's a bondage. If you think we are, this is what the best version of life can be, if you are considering this to be happy, then that is what was mentioned in the first verse. We are getting bewildered by the play of the gunas. Muhyandi. So if you want to overcome the delusion of the gunas, we have to understand Satyam Param. And how do we understand that? By the mercy of Shukdev Goswami, who recites Bhagavatam, which illuminates Adhyatma, or the true nature of the self. Once you know the true nature of the self, then you will know what your precarious situation is, and you will desire to get out. That's it. That's all you need to have to begin with. A desire for liberation. So Prabhupada says, people are not aware, therefore they are not interested. They're just like camel, or camel, somehow it bites on cactuses, and thereby it also starts chewing the thorns on those cactuses. And when those thorns slit the tongue of the camel, the blood starts oozing out in its own mouth. And when the camel tastes the blood of his own blood, the camel relishes that taste. So it's a very stark example of materialistic existence. The so-called relish or pleasure that we are experiencing is coming at the price of our own self-destruction. It's a place of ignorance, and if we cover ourselves or liberate ourselves, it's like the camel chewing the thorns. Such materialists are called karmis. They're just karma para. They just are interested in karma and the fruit of the karma phala. And through that karma phala, they are interested in bhoga. That's where the loop continues for them. Out of hundreds of thousands of karmis, only a few may feel tired of material engagement and desire to get out of the labyrinth, the matrix. You reach a point when you are aware of the trap. You realize it's a show. Why am I participating in this drama? Where is it leading me? I have put so much energy into it, but I'm not gained anything substantial. So those who come to such realization of acknowledging the futility of being stuck in that loop, they are called jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed to such jnanis. And Srila Vyasdev, because he's Trikaldarshi, he's actually an incarnation of the Lord himself, he could foresee that the Vedanta Sutra is going to be misused by unscrupulous people. And therefore, he personally supplemented the Vedanta Sutra by Bhagavad Puran. So, what is the misuse of Vedanta Sutra? To bring out a monistic interpretation of the absolute reality. The Vedanta Sutra itself does not present that conclusion, but the monastic tradition comes up with such interpretation that ultimately God is formless. Yeah, that is not supported. I mean, the whole scriptures, the whole Shrutis are singing the glories of the Lord. How can you call that Lord formless, qualityless? So it is not understanding in the right context. So therefore, Bhagavatam is considered the original commentary on the Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras. And Vyasadeva instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Shukdev Goswami, who was already at a liberated stage of transcendence. Shukdev Goswami realized it personally and then explained it. This is what qualifies him as a speaker amongst everyone else present. By the mercy of Srila Shukdev, the Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra. So Prabhupada is calling Bhagavad Purana as Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra. It is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of samsara. So it is Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So even Sripad Shankaracharya did not touch Bhagavad Puran. Yeah, because he knew that it is a natural commentary and it will be difficult to fit the monastic meaning into it. It is so evident that you cannot misconstrue it. Vedanta Sutras, you can subject to that misconstrue. You can try to misconstrue, but not the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he wrote his Sharirak Bhashya, which is the monastic interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. And his so-called followers deprecated the Bhagavatam as some new presentation. So they said, no, we will study only Vedanta Sutra. What is this Bhagavad Puran? We don't want to study this. We will only stick to Vedanta Sutra and the commentary on it. So we should not be misled by such propaganda directed against the Bhagavatam by a Mayavad school. Yeah, from the beginning, this introductory shloka, the student should know that Srimad Bhagavatam is the only transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahamsas and completely free from material disease called malice, Nirmatsaranam. So that means those who deprecate it are still not free of malice. So don't bother, don't pay attention to that. If you want to take this opportunity to cross over samsara, relish the absolute truth in its ultimate conception of rasa, Bhagavatam is inviting you. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead. They have a certain dvesha towards the Lord. Yeah, dvesha is envy. I'll not worship, I'll not accept Narayan or Krishna as the ultimate reality. Although Sripad Shankaracharya himself admitted that Narayan is above material creation, Narayana Paro Vyaktat. There is this material creation full of names and forms which are temporary. That is Maya. But Narayan is not a product of Maya. Narayan is above the material creation. But the followers then, they did not continue this process, did not highlight this admission of Srila Shankaracharya. The envious Mayavadi cannot have access to Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious to get out of material existence may take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is like a torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So it makes, we are just setting out the premise very clear. What is presented in Bhagavatam and how is Bhagavatam considered? Okay, is it clear so far? So then Sutta Goswami offers a prayer which we also should all chant, knowing our limitations, and in humility, we should acknowledge, all those who have shared this knowledge with us. We should express gratitude. And in that mode, Sutta Goswami is chanting the next verse, which we chant before beginning any discourse on Srimad Bhagavatam also. So let's chant verse 4. Narayana namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, tato jaya udirayet. So by reciting and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, you will obtain victory. Victory over what? Ignorance. Which is the very means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. The supreme human, supermost human being are who? Naranarayan. And Mother Saraswati, because she is the goddess of learning. And also unto Srila Vyasadeva, who is the author. So this is how we should also have, a mood. And let me offer obeisances to all of them. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. And by following in their footsteps, by opening myself to this message, I'll also be able to be victorious over ignorance. Why do you think he's offering respects or obeisances to Nar Narayan Rishi? Yeah. Any guesses? He's offering respects to his guru, yeah, Devata, and why Nar Narayan specially? Never thought of this. Where did Vyasdev write Srimad Bhagavatam? He composed it in Badrikashram. Badrikashram, who is the presiding deity of Badrikashram? It is Nar Narayan rishis who are eternally meditating there. So they are the presiding deities of Badrikashram where this was composed. Therefore, we are offering respects to Nar Narayan also. And we had the great fortune of visiting that exact place where Vyasdev composed not only Mahabharata, also Bhagavatam. There is this gufa. And that is like the border. It's called the last village of India. It's such, even today, you know, thousands of years later, it is such a pristine and pure place. You can feel why Vyasdev would have chosen it. So if you ever get a chance to do Char Dham or just Badrinath Yatra, definitely make it a point to visit the cave of Vyasdev, which is like a little further from Badrinath. Yeah, not very far, but it's beautiful. I have some pictures I'll share with you later. So, offering respects to Devata, the presiding deities, the author, and Krishna is the subject of Bhagavatam. And Saraswati, it is also important to understand that there is a spiritual counterpart to every devata. So there is Saraswati in this world, in our world, but that is not the Saraswati which is being invoked here. There is a Divya Saraswati in the spiritual world who is assisting Lord in his pastimes. You know that when Lord gives it is that Divya Saraswati which gives the Krishna mantra to Brahmaji. So this is the Divya Saraswati in the spiritual realm which Sutta Goswami is offering obeisance to. So all the Vedic literatures and Puranas are meant for conquering the darkness of material existence. Tato Jaya Jayam Udiraye. So this should be your absorption, your resolution. Why am I reciting? Why am I hearing? No other purpose but just to overcome the ignorance of samsara. We have been in this state of forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna for time immemorial. And therefore, we are now conditioned by avidya and we are covered by ahankara. And we are now identifying with our body and mind.
Prabhuji,
Therefore,
the Saraswati mentioned here is different, right? From the regular, I mean, the
yeah,
you
it's
said
a
Divya Saraswati. So she's
Divya
not
Saraswati.
the goddess Saraswati who we worship.
Yes, yes. It's her
She's not.
spiritual counterpart.
Okay.
All devatas have their transcendental counterparts in the realm of the Lord in Goloka. So it is that Divya Saraswati Sutta Goswami is offering his prayer to. So we become covered by avidya, we misidentify with the body and mind, and therefore we become attracted to material sense gratification. From when? From time immemorial. Because, when did we become conditioned? This really cannot be answered. Because we have been associating with matter for a very long time. Anadi karma phale. So we don't get into that, you know, endeavor. We, in fact, try to resolve it. So the struggle for existence in the material world is perpetual. It is not possible to get out by making any material plans. So we have to take shelter of transcendental sound vibration if we want to overcome our avidya. Yeah, and re-establish our relationship with God. Anyone who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of literature such as the Vedas and Puranas. Okay. So yeah, foolish people say that Puranas have no connection with the Vedas, but it's not true. Puranas are the supplementary explanation of the Vedas. Like how you have a law book and then you have case studies. So it is meant to understand the same subject matter in a better way, in a way that is understandable. Sometimes principles alone might be terse, might be abstract, difficult to comprehend. But when you put them in the form of Puranas, Itihasas, that is like a case study presentation. So it is a supplementary explanation of the Vedas only. So those who are conducted by Sattva Gun, they can take advantage of them and regain one's lost position, which is your eternal connection with Krishna and get out of samsara. But if we are in Rajo and Tamogun, we cannot even benefit from the scriptures. Even to study and understand scriptures requires us to rise to at least Sattvagun. And once we are at Sattvagun, we cultivate Shraddha and then we transcend the Sattvagun also. Because bhakti is performed at a transcendental level, not at a Sattvagun level. But Sattvagun definitely is a uh, means. It's a means to reach that position of transcendence. So Srila Sutta Goswami shows the way of chanting the Puranas. And this is followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of Vedic literatures and the Puranas. And you cannot disregard the Puranas. They are crucial to understand the meaning of the Vedas. They are supplementary to the Vedas themselves. Therefore, they are not different in that their purpose is same as the purpose of the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Puran, Amala Puran, and it is especially meant for those who desire to get out of the material entanglement permanently. So, the adhikar here is you should have your goal as liberation. That's the beginning point of study of Vedas and Puranas. If we have a material goal, then that doesn't qualify us for studying this literature. We should have some idea that I have a spiritual identity and I understand that identity is covered. I want to re-establish or awaken that true nature of mine. Then all of this becomes relevant. Okay. Then Sutta Goswami, after offering prayers, and he set the perfect mood in which to begin narrating such a transcendental literature. Then he appreciates the rishis of Naimisharanya. What does he say? Let's look at the fifth verse. Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbhirloka mangalam yat krita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Yeah, your questions are sadhu, very good questions. And they are fit for welfare of the whole world. Lokamangalam, not just you will benefit, anyone who will hear this in the future will benefit. Why? Because Krishna Sambrashna, because all these questions are related to Krishna. That is what makes them universal, relevant, beneficial, and deeply pleasing to the self. Yena Atma Suprasidhyati. Only by this will your Atma be completely pleased. Not just Prasidhati, but Suprasidhati. Pleased, satisfied in all ways. So, here he's also appreciating. First, we saw the sages appreciating and encouraging him that you are the right, you are the only qualified speaker. Please share. And now he is in reciprocation, encouraging and appreciating the sincerity of the audience. So here you have asked good questions about Krishna, all sorts of questions about Krishna, Samprashna. Therefore, therefore this is worthy. And only by such questions about Krishna does the intellect become satisfied. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted to understand the Sara, the essence of all scriptures which satisfies the heart. Only topics related to Krishna can satisfy the heart to the fullest. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is to be known. Therefore, the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya are proper and just because they are pertaining to Krishna, who is the absolute truth. In the 15th chapter of Sri Krishna says, I am the goal of the Vedas. Through the Vedas are supposed to reach me. By study of Vedas, one should reach me. So, because these questions pertain to Krishna, they are the sum and substance of all Vedic inquiries. And now Srila Prabhupada puts it in a very philosophical way. If you look at the world, everyone is asking questions. The world is full of questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. What are their questions like? Where do I get food? Yeah. And in the evening, also, the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being Unless he's fast asleep at night in our wakeful time, we are also busy with question and answers. What are the kind of questions? The businessman is busy with question and answers. So are the lawyers in the courts, and so are the students in schools and colleges, and the legislators in the parliaments, the politicians, the press, everyone. They go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, yet they are not at all satisfied. So, question and answers, that business is going on everywhere across species. But is it satisfying the self? No. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. So Bhagavatam doesn't mince more words. Bhagavatam doesn't try to appeal anyone. It starts by saying this is what will satisfy you. Everything else is incomplete. Why? Because in Krishna, as we were discussing in Ishopanishad, because Krishna is the complete whole, unless we establish our relationship with that complete whole, we will continue to experience some form of incompleteness. That will take so many different forms. But at the root cause, the problem is that we are not connected to the complete whole. Therefore, we are feeling incomplete. And that incomplete we try to fill in by consumption, by chasing so much material gain, status. It's all about how incomplete we feel within. But Krishna is our most intimate, depending on what relationship we have with the Lord. It could take any of the forms of Dasya, Sankhya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya. Forgetting Krishna, we create so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. They only give us temporary satisfaction. So if we want full, deep satisfaction of the self, we have to take two questions and answers about Krishna. I mean, it's so brilliant of Srila Prabhupada to take the appreciation of Sutta Goswami that look around, the whole world is questioning and seeking answers, but in the wrong place. Because Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna, we can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. Yeah, so from Srimad Bhagavatam, we should make an all-around solution to all problems pertaining to social, political or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. We have seen this in, Srila Prabhupada mentioning in Nectar of Instruction also that unless you address the root, all other forms of service are also incomplete. If the leaders don't recognize that, all their attempts at peace will also be futile because they are missing the point. They are missing the center of everything, the cause of everything. So ignoring the cause, ignoring the center, whatever attempts you make are going to frustrate you. That's the point. Okay. And now in the next verse, so from the next verse onwards, Srila Sutta Goswami begins to answer the original 6 questions of Shaunakadi Rishi. Are you ready? And if the introduction is so sweet and profound, imagine how is he going to answer these questions. So we are at the peak of curiosity in this episode. So in verses 6 and 7, uh, Srila Sutta Goswami is beginning to answer the questions of the sages. Let's look at verse 6. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshje ahaitukiya pratihata yayatmasu prasidati. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. You are asking for a means. This is the means. Very beautiful verse. Let's look into it. So, in this statement, Sutta Goswami answers the first questions of the sages of Naimisharanya, which is please summarize the whole range of revealed scriptures and present what is the most essential part so that people in Kali Yuga who are incompetent and fallen, they can also easily take up to it. So Prabhupada begins by saying that Vedas prescribe two paths are prescribed in the Vedas. One is Pravritti Marg and one is Nivritti Marg. Pravritti Marg is continue your flow of impulses and desires, the path of sense indulgence. And Nivritti is the path of renunciation to attempt to restrain your desires, to restrain your senses. So the path of pravritti is inferior, and the path of nivritti or abstinence or sacrifice is supreme. Sacrifice for the supreme cause, that nivritti marg is considered superior. So we, in our material condition, we are in a diseased state. Actually life is spiritual existence, Brahma Bhuta. So by nature we are Satchidanand, but we are engaged in a body which is Asat, Achit, and Niranand. So we are in a contrary situation. We are in a situation which is exactly opposite to what our true nature is. Imagine what kind of confinement would you feel when you are put in a place where you don't belong? Yeah, you just feel like you feel suffocated. That is how we, the soul, feels. So material existence is only temporary. There is no happiness at all. There is flickering temporary pleasure, but happiness means ananda, and sensual pleasure means sukha. So sukha might be there. There is chapala sukha. That is why people are endeavoring so much. So we're not denying that. There might be chapal sukha, but there is no substantive bliss, anand. What is considered as happiness is just an absence of misery. Or today there was no bombing. That's why it was a good day. What? Just because misery is absent, it doesn't equate to a happy state. Yeah, it's neutral. Happiness is a positive experience. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment. What is this path? One of the two which we discussed above. What is the path of progressive material enjoyment?
Pravritti.
Pravritti. This is temporary, miserable, and illusory. And it is also inferior. But devotional service to the Lord, which leads one to our actual nature of Satchidanand, that is superior. Why is it superior? Because the nature of that dharma is that it is transcendental. This is sometimes polluted when mixed with inferior quality. What is Prabhupada saying? That sometimes, see, bhakti is transcendental, but sometimes it is mixed with inferior quality. When you mix karma or jnana into bhakti, you bring it down to an inferior level. For example, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. The progressive path of renunciation, that phrase is being used for Nivritti Marg. And in Nivritti Marg, bhakti is the best means. But that should not be for a material gain. You are contaminating it with karma. Yeah. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in a diseased condition of life. So when we are entrapped in avidya, should we first wake up out of our dream, which was a horrifying dream, or we should continue to enjoy the dream? What do you think? It's foolish. So Nivritti Marg is waking up from the illusion of enjoyment in this world. So it might require abstinence, sacrifice for the supreme cause, but it is still a superior path because you're not aggravating your disease, you're in fact healing yourself. If you continue to enjoy in the dream with ahankar and avidya completely enmeshed, it is only aggravating the symptoms of the disease and you are going to stay diseased for longer. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying, bhakti is recommended, but it must be pure in quality. It should not have a desire for material enjoyment. Yeah. No desire for material enjoyment, which means desiring the fruit of your action. What happens in karma? You are depending on your endeavor and your abilities to attain the karma phal. When you bring karma bhav into bhakti, you go to Bhagwan, but you are still going for the karma phal. You're saying, Bhagwan, ye mujhe de do na. The karmis are doing it. The other part of civilization in this world who are not theistic, they are also able to achieve so much material success. They are just doing pure karma. They are not mixing karma in bhakti. But here in India, we make a show of being devoted, practicing bhakti, going to a temple. But what is it in reality? It is actually a material desire. So Prabhupada is saying it should be pure in quality. It should be free of any tinge, means not even a trace of personal selfish desire or fruitive action. Fruitive action means a transaction. If you're doing transaction, that is business. That cannot be love. And bhakti means love with God. So are you loving God? Are you transacting with God? If you're going with a motive, with the fruit in mind, or with a selfish desire in mind, it's already a transaction. So we have already seen dharma parojita kaitava. We are rejecting kaitav dharma. What are we practicing? Parodharmo. Savai Pumsa Parodharmo. So Bhagavatam is about Parodharmo, not about Kaitav Dharma. Kaitav Dharma is rejected. And also philosophical speculation, which means trying to use our mental and intellectual capabilities to give attributes to the divine. That doesn't work. You have to accept the Shabda Praman. The scriptures present the absolute truth to be Satchidananda Vigraha. Yeah. A personality, a form. So I accept that. Not that I conjecture, oh, the ultimate reality must be formless, must be without qualities. Why? Because in this world, I have only encountered names and forms which are limited. So how can the ultimate reality have names and forms? Because it will limit it. Not really. You are imposing material qualities on a transcendental object. That is your failing. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation, Srila Prabhupada is writing. You know, Prabhupada could have translated it as religion. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma. The supreme religion for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service and to the transcendental Lord. Why didn't Prabhupada say the supreme religion? Why is he saying the supreme occupation? Because the word dharma means dharayati iti dharma, that which sustains one's existence. So, as jivas, our sustenance of existence is to coordinate our activity in our eternal relationship with Krishna. We are jivas. We are Mamaivamsho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. We are going to be jivas for Sanatan Kal. So what is our dharma being eternal jivas? Bhakti to the eternal Bhagwan. Jivas are eternal, Bhagwan is eternal, and what is the relationship between them is one of bhakti, which is also therefore eternal. So therefore bhakti is also eternal. Krishna is the center pivot of all living beings. He's all attractive. Uh, he is the all attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. So he's all attractive, he's eternal. And all of us also have our eternal form. Like we said, we have the same attributes as Bhagwan, Satchit Anand. That is also the nature we share with Bhagwan. So it is transcendental and completely distinct from our experience in the material existence. So, we have a spiritual identity and existence, which we are completely forgotten. Because we have only been in touch with matter for so long, and we have normalized a bodily conception of life. Therefore, we think this is what I am. There is nothing beyond this. But no, it is due to avidya that we have forgotten that we have a spiritual nature also. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. So as we make progress in devotional service, we realize our eternal form. That is the, process of bhakti. In spiritual existence, which is eternal, we have an eternal form. What is that eternal form? It is revealed as we progress in bhakti. Yeah. Ultimately, the basic fundamental nature of that eternal form is Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Dasatva is in all mellows, but even Dasatva, what is our eternal form in which we serve Krishna? That is revealed as we practice bhakti. This relation of the servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy, dasa. Jivara Swarupa. Swarupa is eternal form in spiritual existence. So Prabhupada is saying the same thing. Jivara Swarup hoy what? Krishnera Nityadas. Relationship of servant and the served. That is the most congenial form of intimacy. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. We might feel that, this seems too lofty. Yeah, like, we were discussing that, oh, I don't see anyone around me attaining their spiritual forms. But Bhagavatam is saying, to the degree we make devotional progress, to that degree we realize that spiritual form. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life. So one is, you will discover your eternal form. And second is, that will completely satisfy the self. Yenatma supravidati. So let us understand what Sutta Goswami is recommending here. That the essence of all scriptures is that there are so many shastras which are recommending so many sadhanas, but among them, the highest sadhana or the practice or the highest occupation, like Prabhupada uses, the highest dharma for a human being, pumsa, only we human beings can practice this. Savai pumso paro dharma is bhakti. Bhakti of Adhokshaj. Adhokshaj is another name of Lord Krishna. So basically, bhakti to Lord Krishna is the supreme occupation of human beings. So you asked me about to ascertain one sadhana from so many sadhanas recommended in so many scriptures. This is the sadhana I have ascertained to be the highest, the supreme. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 3rd chapter, we will come to this verse of what is this? How does the process of devotional service work? Etavaneva lokesmin pumsam dharmapara smritaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tannama grihanadivihi. So there it clarifies this further that etavan eva lokesmin, the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life is bhakti. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of bhakti. Tad Nam Grihanadibhi. So very interesting. We are entering the secret principles of Bhagavatam, where Parodharma is being presented. What is the Parodharma? That which reveals your eternal form and that which satisfies the heart. Doesn't it make sense? The highest religion should be that which reveals your eternal form and also deeply satisfies you. That is Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. So the essence of scripture is Bhakti Yoga. What do you achieve by Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti only. So it is important to understand that sadhana is also bhakti and prema is also bhakti. Yeah. One is bhakti in its starting phase and one is bhakti in its maturation. Like an unripe mango and a ripe mango. What is the difference? Nothing. Just a passage of time. So what we are practicing today is sadhana bhakti. And what will it mature to? Prema. That is also called bhakti. So that is explained that sadhana bhakti in its, please note this down because this is fundamental. Sadhana bhakti in its mature stage is called prema. Both are called bhakti. Sadhana is also bhakti and prema is also bhakti. One is a practice, another is a perfection. Yeah. Bhaktya sanjayatya bhaktya. So sadhana bhakti is cause of prema bhakti. So if you see, it is given in the verse. You have to discover it. What is the supreme dharma? Savai pumso paro dharmo. So that paro dharma is referring to which type of bhakti? Sadhana bhakti. And that paro dharma, what does it cause later? That is also in the same verse. That sadhana bhakti matures into yato bhaktir adhokshaje. So you see, in the first line, sadhana bhakti is mentioned. In the second line, prema bhakti is mentioned. When the word used is yato bhaktir adhokshaje, that bhaktir is referring to prema bhakti in its mature stage. Yeah. And, we just like as we age, our young self is transforming into our adult self. It is not that different states. It's just the same thing, or the example of a mango. So why do we use different terms for these different stages? Just to show that the strength of the bhakti is changing. At sadhana stage, the strength is lesser, and at prema stage, the strength is high. It's intense. So we should not think of it as some different states through which we are moving. It's just the strengths of bhakti are differing. That's all. Does it make sense? So now the question is, we come to the next line, ahaituki. What does ahaituki mean? What does Prabhupada translate here as? Causeless. What do you understand by causeless? It doesn't have a cause. Okay, so how do we get it? So this is again a very important principle. There are verses which we will see in later chapters and later cantos, which say that you can do as much charity, austerity, sacrifices, yeah, yogena, sankhena, dana, vrato, tapo, adhvarai, vyakhya, swadhyaya, sannyasai, Prapnuyad yatnavan api. Even if one engages with great endeavor in mystic yoga, philosophical speculation, charity, vows, penances, ritualistic sacrifices, teaching of Vedic mantras to others, personal study of Vedas, or even sannyas, one cannot still achieve me. So bhakti cannot be obtained by any of this. Are you surprised? You thought we should do tapasya or we should do jnana or sannyas. That should definitely lead to bhakti. None of these things can lead to bhakti. Furthermore, you know, you can say that, okay, that if none of this leads to bhakti, how do you get bhakti? What is your understanding? If this none of these are causing bhakti, then what is causing bhakti? We want bhakti, right? So if these things will not lead us to bhakti, what will? What are your guesses? Yeah, go ahead.
Complete surrender to Krishna.
Okay. But
Mercy of
we are
devotee.
asking where will we get that from? Surrender you can do only if you have bhakti, right? Where did you
Desire.
get that?
Yes.
By
By
causeless
desire.
mercy of devotees.
Okay, causeless mercy of devotees. Anything else?
Desire.
Desire, yes. Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Laulyam api ekamulyam. An intense greed to have that love it creates that love. Okay.
Serving the
Loving.
Serving the Lord,
Okay.
are his devotees.
Okay. To serve, you need to have devotion. The
Yes.
question is, where does devotion originate in?
Doesn't Krishna reveal the devotion himself to
Okay.
us?
Association of devotees.
Okay. Where is that coming from? I can't see.
One has to
Okay.
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah,
Let's look.
this is.
Sorry.
Can I speak?
Yeah, please.
It is already there in all the jivas, and it has
Nice.
just to be awakened by
Okay.
pleasing the devotees and our spiritual master.
So
I think in
pleasing the
one
devotees.
class you had said that it is only a bhakt who can awaken that in another bhakt.
Okay. Good answers from all of you, but let's look at the specific answer. So when Suta Goswami is saying that the parodharma is bhakti, sadhana bhakti, which matures into yato bhakti adhokshaje, prema bhakti for Krishna. And that kind of bhakti is ahetuki. It is without a cause. So what is causing it? We saw that all this kind of religiosity, tapasya, sankhya, yoga, none of that can lead to bhakti. So can we say the mercy of the Lord is the cause of pure bhakti?
Yes.
Krishna Kripa. But why Krishna Kripa on you and not on your neighbor? Yeah, that means Krishna is unjust or Krishna is prejudiced. That is choosing to give mercy without reason to certain individuals and not to not
So
to
if
others.
you do certain sukriti in your previous lives and all that, then you probably get a chance to
So
associate with
Sukriti
devotee and get the.
is the cause.
I
If
mean,
Krishna, you
Krishna
have
is not illogical. He won't just give his mercy simply. So he would probably see this is what I'm assuming.
okay, good attempt. Yes, Prabhu.
Rosie, I
Is the
had
Lord prejudiced in giving his mercy to some and not others?
Rosie, I had read in Madhurya Kadambini that the Lord gives mercy as Yadrichaya, and he has delegated the power of attorney to give bhakti to the devotees. And the
Hmm.
devotees are not all pervading like the Lord. Therefore, it is not, it's not fully partial also, but it doesn't go to everyone also. Like I couldn't fully grasp it, but these were the words that were there.
Right.
in-
The conclusion is correct, but how do we reach that conclusion is what we are discussing. So first factor is Krishna's mercy, but Krishna's mercy cannot be the final cause. Otherwise, it will appear to be prejudiced. Yeah. If one says that, okay, it is the cause of bhakti is the mercy of a devotee. Yeah. Let's say that Lord is dependent on the devotee. That is a better way to put it. What? That Lord's mercy follows a devotee's mercy. Yeah. All of us agree on that. But how does it make it ahetuki? Then the hetu or the cause becomes a devotee. Yeah. Still, we have not answered the question of ahetuki.
Guruji,
So
this
what we
way,
are. Hmm.
I think we say this way that it is the bhakti within the heart of that devotee that is impelling him to share. And therefore, it is bhakti itself which is the cause of bhakti. There is no cause other than bhakti.
Correct. Exactly. So Lord's mercy is the cause of bhakti, but Lord's mercy follows a devotee's mercy. Okay. And a devotee is, where do you get the mercy of the devotees? In the association of devotees. And what is devotee association? Devotee association is an anga of bhakti itself. Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha. So you see, association of devotees is included in bhakti. And therefore, in the association of devotees, we get kripa of devotees. And therefore, because the cause is within bhakti, or the cause is bhakti itself, therefore it doesn't have any external cause. That is how we understand it. Does it make sense? Should I repeat? Krishna's mercy gives bhakti, but Krishna's mercy is not final. Krishna's mercy follows a devotee's mercy. A devotee's mercy can be obtained in the association of devotees. And that association of devotees is sadhu sangha is already a limb or an anga of bhakti. Within bhakti, there is a anga which is association of sadhus or Vaishnavas. Adhau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha Tatha Bhajana Kriya. So this association which is leading to the mercy of devotees, which is attracting the mercy of the Lord, that association is already a limb of bhakti. So therefore,
This is such a circular loop. It's like the ocean becomes a cloud, the cloud becomes a rain,
yes,
comes back, and then
yes,
becomes a
this
river,
is
goes again to the ocean.
exactly how it is. Because this is a cardinal principle that bhakti has no external cause. So the cause of a devotee's mercy, we say that in association of devotee, we get a mercy of devotee. Where is that mercy coming from? It is coming from the bhakti present in the heart of that devotee. Yeah, because if there is no bhakti in the heart of a devotee, how can mercy come? So in all cases, bhakti is the cause of bhakti. This is how we understand that bhakti is ahetuki. Only a limb of bhakti can cause bhakti. So bhakti can cause bhakti, nothing else. So bhakti appears by bhakti alone. This is the meaning of ahetuki. So it is self-manifesting. That is the word used. And the self-manifesting nature of bhakti, it does not negate the fact that where is bhakti getting its self-manifesting nature from? It's getting it from the Lord. So, we cannot also say that where does bhakti get its self-manifesting nature from? From the Lord only. So this is how we understand bhakti does not have any material cause or external cause. This is how bhakti is ahetuki. So
Guruji,
don't
but
look at any
just
other of attaining prema. Don't resort to any other, don't have partial faith. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should, also check those boxes. Shraddha Shabde Vishwase. What is Shraddha? It is a deep conviction. Shraddha Shabde Vishwase Kahe Sudrida Nischay. What is that deep conviction? Krishna Bhakti Koilo Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. I perform Krishna Bhakti. That is, I don't need to perform any other separate means of liberation or perfection. That is the Shraddha we are talking about here.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, then the Shraddha is the first step, na? So before association, one has to have the Shraddha first. So it doesn't make sense. First,
Shraddha?
unless one has a Shraddha, basic Shraddha, then he will not come into the association of devotees. So that Shraddha has to come first.
Yeah, but then Shraddha doesn't come on its own. What do we see? How does Shraddha arise? It has to come through a contact with a devotee. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev. Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beach. So if we don't encounter a devotee, there is no scope of a seed of Shraddha entering our hearts. Shraddha also comes from Vaishnavas, a guru or a Vaishnava. So it comes back to same that it is from the mercy of the devotee, which comes from bhakti, heart of devotee, which gives Shraddha.
Right. Hare Krishna.
So everything comes back to bhakti, which is in the heart of a devotee. That is the cause of mercy, which leads to bhakti in the heart of the candidate.
Right.
Yes, Prabhu, you had a question?
Prabhuji, I think it's not related to the Ahituki, but you had mentioned the impartiality aspect. That one,
Yeah.
could you help understand, Prabhuji? How do we say Lord is impartial if not everyone is getting bhakti uniformly?
Yeah, so therefore, Lord cannot be the cause of bhakti. Okay? Because if we say that Lord has given, that means the Lord is interfering in the free will of the jiva. As a jiva, we all have free will. How can the Lord who says you have free will then also give us bhakti? That means it's not really free. If you're free, then you cannot intervene. So therefore, there is a boundary drawn for the Lord because jiva has free will. So therefore, the Lord cannot be the cause. He makes his devotee the cause. So he sends his devotees who have Lord in their heart, who have bhakti in their heart, to be merciful to all jivas and give them bhakti. And as we discussed, then Krishna's mercy follows the devotee's mercy. Then everything is resolved. Otherwise, if we say Krishna's mercy alone, then one is the question of interfering with free will. Second is the question of prejudice. So to answer these together, we say Krishna's mercy follows a devotee's mercy.
And what is the role of Swarup in this, Prabhuji? Because like a sunflower, by the law of its nature, will look at the sun. So like that, is it not our Swarup? Like one of the Mataji said that all of us have bhakti inbuilt in us. So by that gravitational pull, we will look at
Yeah.
the Lord.
Sure, it is both actually. See, the seed is given by the Vaishnava or the devotee or guru, but the soil has also to be fertile, right? That's when there will be a sprout. So that's fertile soil is our forgotten Swarupa. So, Karohe Udoy. How does that verse start? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karohe Udoy. What this verse is saying is the same meaning as this verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. So that Krishna Prem is already in your heart. It is Nitya Siddha. It is eternally your property. But you have to seek it. You have to Korohe Udoy. It has unmanifested itself because of our avidya, ahankar. Now we have to manifest it, revoke it, evoke it. So that is how we understand that few things. Let's summarize. the supreme occupation, not religion, for all humanity is parodharma, which is sadhana bhakti, which leads to prema bhakti as bhaktir adhokshaje. So the supreme occupation for all is sadhana bhakti, which will lead to prema bhakti. And the nature of this is that it is apratihata. It doesn't have a cause. It is causeless. And it deeply satisfies the self. So we saw that these are the attributes we require for any dharma to be considered supreme. One, it reinstates you in your constitutional position. And second, it deeply satisfies the self. You see how universally beautiful this definition of parodharma is? Any dharma. Therefore, Prabhupada used to say, it doesn't matter you are a Christian or a religion. Are you a lover of God? Then it is a parodharma. That you see magnanimity in Prabhupada's vision. It comes from clarity from here. Okay, so the next part is apratihata. Apratihata means it cannot be prevented by anything. So it is transcendental. No material obstruction can, check it. Just as the Ganges flows naturally, even if there is a giant tree or a huge stone, does the Ganga stop flowing? No, the Ganga finds its way naturally. Similarly, devotion is uninterrupted by any material condition. And this is a beautiful prayer. By the time we come to the 8th chapter, the prayers of Kunti Maharani, you will see this principle put into action. She's praying, Tvai me ananya vishaya mati madhupate sakrit. Let my mind flow towards you as Ganges flows towards the sea. No excuse, no obstruction. Just relentless, natural attraction towards you, Krishna. So, and Yayatma Suprasiddhati. This is how we understand this verse. We'll stop here. Any questions or comments? So you're beginning to see the first answer of Sutta Goswami, and it is so deeply beautiful and brilliant at the same time. Okay, I hope yourself has been satisfied by hearing this narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll continue next time. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you.